Joining me from Ankara is Turkey's presidential spokesman, Ibrahim Kalin. Dr. Kalin, thank you for joining us. Let's get straight to it. Why are these constitutional reforms needed at this stage?
Thanks for having me on. First of all, it is a result of our quest as a nation, in fact, to further our democracy, to strengthen our economy. And this is based on our past experiences where we have had weak coalition governments as a result of the current system. And these weak coalition governments have prepared the ground for sometimes military intervention or political crises, and that has weakened the economy in the long run and has created divisions within the society as well. In fact, if you look at the structure of the current system, it's not really 100% a parliamentary system, because the current system was kind of devised after the 1960 and 1980 military coups, where the president was given some additional powers to make sure that the parliament remains in check. The proposed system, in fact, gives the parliament really unprecedented powers over the president. For example, according to the proposed amendments, the parliament will have a chance to investigate the president, his actions or her actions, and if there is an ongoing investigation, the president will not be able to run for a second term. And if the president calls for early elections for one reason or another, meaning that dissolving the parliament, and it's a power he doesn't have, both the president and the parliament will have to go to elections. So in other words, the current system forces both the president and the parliament to have a policy of consensus, where if they cannot resolve their differences, then they will have to go back to the people, both the president and the parliament. So this way, it in fact does establish a strong system of checks and balances.
Dr. Kalin, we've been traveling across Turkey. In fact, I was in Kars and Konya just recently over the past 3 weeks, and one criticism that I heard is that if Turkey switches to a presidential system of governance, it will weaken accountability and checks and balances and might in fact empower the presidency at the cost of other institutions. Is this a fair criticism, Dr. Kalin?
No, it's not a fair criticism. To the contrary, in fact, the presidential system, as we propose, will establish the separation of powers very clearly: the judiciary, the executive power, and the legislative power. Within the current system, as you know, as it is the case in all parliamentary systems, the executive branch comes out of the legislative branch. So there is a very close connection between the two. In the presidential system, you separate the legislative power from the executive power. The judiciary is already separate and independent. Secondly, by giving the parliament a lot of powers over the executive branch for checks and balances, in fact, you create a situation where the president cannot enact laws that will contradict laws passed by the parliament. The president will have presidential decrees, but they will be about his area of executive power rather than basic laws, the constitutional law, or the basic rights and liberties and civil liberties. And if there is a law or a presidential decree that the president decrees, for example, if it contradicts any of the laws passed by the parliament, and then that presidential decree becomes null and void. And secondly, the parliament can pass legislation to counter any presidential decree that the president wishes to issue. Therefore, you have this checks and balances. The parliament has, in fact, enough powers and mechanisms to control the actions of the president. Plus, you have the Constitutional Court, which looks over issues of legislation, laws, and presidential decrees, whether they are in compliance with the Constitution or not. So, in fact, you have all these different mechanisms whereby the president will be controlled by the parliament as well as by the Constitutional Court within the framework of the Turkish Constitution.
When we asked people why they were voting in this referendum, was it about the system or something else, almost everyone we spoke to, either yes or no on both sides, said they weren't voting for the system, they were voting on a one-point agenda: Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Why do you believe that both sides, yes and no, are basing their votes on this crucial systemic change on Recep Tayyip Erdogan?
Well, I think there is some truth to what you say. I have similar observations from time to time on both camps, on the yes camp, on the no camp. I think it shows the degree to which the yes voters, among the yes voters, people have confidence in the leadership qualities of President Erdogan. And on the no camp, you have some maybe criticisms, biases, prejudices towards the president. But this is not about a person. As our president has said repeatedly, this is about a system. This is not about personality. This is about a good form of governance. Obviously, people immediately think of the president as the next kind of full president, even though he is elected by the people, so he has full democratic legitimacy. And if he runs, and if the system passes and he runs and he wins, he will be the first president of the new system. So people perhaps tend to think more in concrete terms, and that's kind of understandable. But this is not about Tayyip Erdogan. As he said, we are all mortals, God knows in 10, 15, 20 years, we may not be around, but Turkey will remain, the Turkish Republic will be around, Turkish nation will be around.
Ibrahim Kalin there joining us from Ankara.